Mavs versus Celtics for the NBA title. That is right, Mavs coming back for the first time since 2011 when they beat the Miami Heat and LeBron James and the Boston Celtics, who are looking to get another crack at redemption after losing to the Golden State Warriors and Steph Curry in the finals a couple years ago. Two of the best duos in the NBA going up against each other. How is this going to go? Well, in my opinion, who I think is going to win, I got Boston winning this series on the logic of from top to bottom. They are better built than the Dallas Mavericks. They are. Dallas is a two-man team as well as Boston. But Boston, that supporting cast, is leagues better than what we're seeing from Dallas and what Luka and Kyrie have to work with. Why do I say that? You got Derek White. You got Jaylen Brown. You have June Holiday, a better version of Marcus Smart that you gave away in order to get some legitimate offense and still all-world defensive abilities, as well as Al Horford, who has consistently been a rock and a great down-low defensive anchor and three-point marksman for the Boston Celtics. You can just look at what happened the last time they went to the finals. Al Horford, Big Al, was being incredibly efficient and effective. And then on top of that, you still have a great depth of talent. And while Luka and Kyrie are stellar, and they beat the best defensive team in basketball in the Timberwolves, they lacked the offensive ability to the Timberwolves in the whole of their team, like with Rudy Gobert, who was a liability for that Timberwolves squad. Yeah, he could play defensive on the floor, but also offensively, he was something that was messing them up. The plus minus in this case scenario lied on what Rudy Gobert was actually doing. That was one of the pitfalls of why they couldn't compete and why Kyrie and Luka were able to outscore their offense by themselves, and only Ant and Cat being the real main engines to be able to put buckets on the board. But this Boston squad is completely different. You can have, again, Tatum and Jaylen Brown, who can both go for 30 and 40 points. And the rest of that offense and the rest of that team, they do their job and they do it well, similar to the Denver Nuggets. Everybody on that team is able to do their part and do their role and play phenomenally in their respective role. That is what this Boston Celtics squad is built off of. Oh, by the way, I almost forgot. With Kristaps Porzingis coming back now, if he's able to be relatively healthy and isn't severely compromised, there's another offensive weapon. Now you have size, you have shooting, you have length, you have defense, and you have the ability to play on the inside or on the outside. You can. With Porzingis in the fray as well, adding him back into the finals, this is a whole new animal. They have the chemistry. They have the offensive ability. They have the shooting. They have the duo and the two-man engine that can run the offense and control the game. They have the anchors to be able to play down low against any type of lineup, who also aren't liabilities in their own right. Now, with the Boston Celtics, that's not a problem. Highly tall task for Luka and Kyrie to be able to overcome. There's going to be some real opposition. There's going to be some real stuff exposed because they have championship experience, at least finals experience. They have been there before. They have been at the highest level. They have played together and have played for championships. A couple people have won championships, like with June Holiday. You have everything you need on a roster to be able to be successful outside of with Luka and Kyrie leading an incredibly young but talented squad. But still, Kyrie's the only brother on that team with championship experience. Everybody else has not been to this place before. You can at least say that they got championship experience, and a couple of players have been there before, so you also know how to handle themselves. You can say that with Boston. June Holiday, Al Horford, Jayson Tatum, Jaylen Brown, majority of that starting five has been to a title. Kyrie Irving has won it and has been to a title. Everybody else ain't been there. Most of the people ain't been there. Luka ain't been there. Derek Lively sure enough ain't been there. Gafford ain't been there. Tim Hardaway Jr. definitely has never been there. It is what it is. This is what they're facing. Experience and talent and depth over some experience, a lot of talent, but youth, and as well as never been under these moments before. It's a well-oiled machine versus a hot rod. Somebody that looks flashy and they can get out to get hot. Can you sustain it against an experienced driver? That's what the question is going to be. Now, they can beat them, don't get me wrong. Dallas can beat them. It's just going to be a tall task. I think we'll see Boston win. They should win because they're the better team. And I'll have them winning in 6. But the storylines in this game are incredibly exciting. Luka and Kyrie going up against Jaylen Brown, who is indeed the best duo in the NBA right now. That's going to be a legitimate thing that's going to be talked about. If we see Jaylen Brown and Jayson Tatum beat Luka and Kyrie, are we going to elevate them in how they are as a duo in the NBA? With Kyrie Irving and Boston, that rivalry of a man versus a city, one versus all, one versus 50, standing 10 toes down. That's what we're going to see Kyrie Irving do. Going up against a city that feels like he betrayed them. Seeing the videos of him stepping on the floor when he was in Brooklyn, stepping on the leprechaun, called a terrible leader, called somebody who couldn't be a great player on a championship squad anymore, couldn't lead a team to a championship, is only relegated to a Robin, but is a Robin that will kill the entire Batman family. A destructive force in implosion. That's what he was called, especially in the city of Boston. They hated that brother after how he performed and what he did for that city in the in the playoffs, when he was the main guy leading that squad, and when he left and how he left. Oh, there's some animosity there. Same thing with Porzingis on the side of Dallas. Porzingis literally, I believe, has gone on record and said he essentially quit on that squad when they were making their playoff run. They let him go. There's some animosity between Dallas and him. Jayson Tatum versus Luka Doncic. This is a battle of, is Tatum a top 10 player? Or is he not? Going up against a arguably top 5 player in Luka. An MVP candidate. Better MVP candidate than you. By leaps and bounds in my estimation. We're looking at a situation, if Tatum can go and beat Luka, we're changing the conversation of how we view him. We're changing his ranking in the NBA. We're changing his cachet as a leader and as a star in the league. Yes, we are. That's what we're doing. That's what's at stake. But if he loses, not only does it solidify where his ranking is, at least for me, in terms of if he's top 10 or not, I got him 11. But it'll put a cap in a glass ceiling. He will then have to try to break through, especially if he doesn't play well. Talked about this before in another video. If we see that Jayson Tatum plays abysmal, it is going to be so much detriment to his career in terms of how we view him and what his legacy will now turn into. Not saying it's going to stay that way. What his legacy will now be viewed as a great player who can be a leader on a team, but he can't be the guy to be a champion. He just doesn't have it. Because this is another situation where he's had the better team. He's had the better roster. He has the outright squad that is better than his opponent. He's had the easiest road to a title in recent memory. He's only lost twice in this playoff run. But we have been saying it's because they've had it easy. If he goes up against this squad and they lose, especially if everybody stays healthy, it's going to be a real dilemma. We're going to be saying, yeah, he is a easy team merchant, an injury merchant. That's what will be put on him. This is a man who can only win when everybody else is literally down on their luck, when they can't play. He didn't play against Jimmy Butler. Tyrese Halliburton got injured. Every single team that he beat this playoff series, their best player, one of the best players, was gone. This is going to be, if Jayson Tatum loses against a healthy Dallas Mavericks squad, we're going to really have to question what he is as a player when it comes to winning, when it comes to a champion. Because you've had and have everything at your disposal. Everything. And if you underperform and you go and put on another performance like you did against the Warriors, where Jaylen Brown outplayed you, going and playing under his ability, and Jaylen Brown again looking like the guy that is more impactful, the guy that is actually leading the squad to victory, the guy that is doing something and putting numbers on the board that translate to winning. If we see that, it's going to be incredibly dangerous for Jayson Tatum in terms of how his career trajectory is going to look. And how his legacy is going to now be talked about. And if we see Luka go and beat Boston, my gosh, we might have to start elevating him to a top 3 player in the world. We might have to. He's already been playing phenomenally. Some people saying he deserved MVP. If he goes on this run and the run that he went through in the West, beating the Timberwolves, getting out the first and second round, going up against killers, you go again and beat this Boston squad, that's going to be, oh my gosh, the legend of Luka is going to grow more and more and more. A fast track, not just a Hall of Fame status, but to an all-time great. We already know he's going to be that. But this will significantly elevate what his legacy will say about him. When he hit his prime, this man conquered everybody when it seemed like he shouldn't have been able to. And the conversations of Luka and Kyrie as being one of the best duos in NBA history is going to get elevated as well. It definitely will. I've already said that they are the best offensive duo in the NBA. Luka can give you 30, 10, and 9. Kyrie can give you 36 and 4 on 40% shooting from 3, 50% from the field, and 90% from the line. But in terms of all time, they win a title as a duo. We got some real competition now. This could be another conversation that we're having about Kyrie Irving. Or is he indeed the best Robin that we've seen in NBA history? Now, do I think that's the case? No. But do I think this will elevate him if he goes and wins a title with LeBron and then goes and wins a title with Luka? Oh yeah, he's gonna move himself up. I'm not saying he's Scottie Pippen. I'm not saying he's Shaq and or Kobe, depending on who you want to. Actually, at that point in time, it was Shaq who was the main guy, and Kobe was the second running mate. Not in no disrespect at all. If Shaq was the better player, Kobe was the second best player on that squad, though he was so elite when they both hit their prime. Kobe, one of the best Robins in history, and then became one of the best Batmans in history when he got his own squad. Scottie Pippen with Michael Jordan, it speaks for itself what he was able to do. Kyrie Irving, though, he will move up. How far, I'll have to think. But he will have to move up as one of the greatest Robins that we've seen in NBA history if he wins a title and puts on an incredible production. Don't let him win finals MVP either. My gosh. We're talking about a whole nother animal. There is so much on the line for this chip. There is so much that needs to be proven for this chip individually, for each squad. For each squad. There's going to be a situation where we have to look and say, Tatum, if you mess up again, we are going to look at you differently. Because the playoffs are where you solidify what you are. You can lose. It's not about necessarily losing as much as it is how you perform, regardless of the situation. And if we see Jayson Tatum perform again terribly, like he performed in that last finals that he was in against Golden State, when again, his team was better on paper as a talent. All throughout their run, they were the better team. And you, as Tatum, did not produce and perform. Again, in my opinion, got outplayed by your own running mate in Jaylen Brown. This is going to be very bad for you. Incredibly bad for you. You are going to be looking at a situation where your legacy and how we view you right now as a player will significantly be damaged. No longer, we're not going to look at you as the face of the league anymore. If you, as a potential candidate for the face of the league, if you go and lose against Warriors if you go and lose against Dallas, but you lose in another terrible fashion with you playing horribly, we'll never talk about you as a face of the league contender again. I guarantee you I won't. If I see again in the playoffs, you cannot produce when it comes to the finals. Again, if you get beat, you just get beat. But if you get beat and you underperform, that's where the problem lies. But I can see this going to 6 in an incredibly hotly contested matchup. And Luka and Kyrie doing everything they can to carry the squad to victory. But they just aren't built as a whole at this point in time to be able to succeed and produce. But once next year comes around, as this team builds more and more, if they lose, they're going to be a real threat. And they will win a title one year, if not this year. With Luka and Kyrie, this is their first of potential many opportunities. This could be the last hurrah, your literal last stand to be able to win a championship if you're in Boston. The potential start of a beautiful story in Dallas versus the potential end to a greatest what if in Boston. It's a literal tale of two legacies. And it's going to be insane to watch. And I don't know what's going to happen.